Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson of the Ring of Hire Show. Hey, listen, today's show I had to do a little bit earlier. It's called "What does the word temp mean?" This is a great show. It's going to be about 15, 20 minutes only, but we'll be right back after this. Hey, hope everybody's having a great weekend. It's Saturday night. Staffing never ends. Hey, listen, tonight I wanted to talk about what does the word temp mean? And that is dear to me because when you hear that, oh, you're just a temp. Okay. You're just a temporary worker. It's like you don't have any meaning while you're there. You go, oh, they're just temps, and that word's always gotten to me because temporary temps are normal people. They're no different. A staffing company offers many different versions of what you're looking for if you're not familiar. I mean, I have gotten my last 3 careers through temporary services, staffing agencies. So they offer temp to perm, temporary to permanent, and that could be 3 months, if that's as long as you've agreed to when you go to that staffing agency. You could be seasonal. Everybody knows what seasonal is, peak seasons. It's crazy. You could be that. You could find work that way. Maybe you like that. Long-term, there's long-term assignments that people work that there's no end date. They've been there. Some of the associates have been there for 5, 10 years. They just like it. Professional staffing, it doesn't have to be just entry-level positions. It could be any type of work, contract work. Listen, there's a lot that a staffing agency offers, not just one option. Direct hires. Listen, if you're looking for a company that's a direct hire, that's where they make their money. They want to put that person, get them hired, get them on, and then they make some good money. The staffing agencies make really good money by placing direct hires, and it saves clients a lot of revenue and time. So also, there's positions that are used for vacations, paternity leaves, health. Something's wrong with one of the full-time workers' health, they'll offer you work. So there is some, I always say, good staffing agencies, and there's some bad, but there you pay for what you get, and you're just a body. And I don't like those words because I've heard people say, they're just bodies. We need bodies, body warmers, if you want to say. And when you say that, body warmers, what is that? I just don't like it. A lot of the times when people say temp, I always like to say, you mean our associates? Think about it. Oh, you're just a temp. Okay. There are associates. I like that wording better because how would that make you feel if you're in a temporary position? Now, temporary even sounds better than temp because it's the way you say it. I've had clients, just send the temps home. Jesus, that word. But if you change the way things today's world, you really got to use that wording really careful. Temp, either temporary or associates. Again, I like associates. And that's one of the things that you can practice on if you see this show is Temporary associates, not the word temp. I mean, that's just, I can't stomach that. You know, what you want to do also when you're with the clients, we try to always tell them that include your staffing agency, your temporary or associates within your picnics, within your, anything that you're offering your full-time people, some kind of perks. I would also recommend having them for them, Hey, Marie. I hope you're doing all right. She's my cousin. I'll reach out to you after this, see how you're doing. Hope everything's all right. But my point was involve the associates or temporary workers within everything that you're having in the company. I know some people, the excuses will be like, you'll have all your candidates, all your full-time people in a break room and they're talking. You have your managers talking about the company. Personally, myself, I would also have, the associates, also involved in the meeting. I would have them in the back area so they can listen. Let them see what full-time is going to get them. You're going to get back and forth. It's a co-worker issue. It's illegal. You'll hear people say, we can't do that. Listen, in today's world, you need to change with some of those things. You need to change the way that you've done things in the past. There's nothing wrong with having somebody just sit there listening to, wow, if I get hired on full-time, this is what we have. So there's nothing wrong about sharing information. I don't get it. I've never heard of anybody being sued. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would include everyone because you need all the temporary workforce. Not that temp word, temporary or associates. I'm going to keep hitting on that. And also, if you look at reviews, I know they go both ways, right? Reviews, some are good, some are bad. And there's two sides, but if you start seeing something all the time, you don't want to work there as a temporary employee because they treat you like you're a number. You see all those things about a management treats them like numbers or just bodies. Be careful with that. Turn that around because it could be true. And I've always said that if HR doesn't know about it, they can't fix it. So you might have a manager out there. I've seen them. I've heard them. They're just temps. Just send the temps home. Really? In today's world, if you send in logistics, if you don't have any work for the last 3 hours, let's just say, right? And that manager says, send those temps home. Hear how that sounds. Just send those temps home, right? You're going to lose them. And the reason being is because if you would just walk out there, listen, everybody knows if they're temporary or full-time with a company. So if you go out there and just say, okay, temps, you're going home. How does that sound? Temps, you're going home. Volunteers, anybody want to go home? Usually on a Friday, that's great. People don't like to work Monday, so you could say, hey, who wants Monday off? My point there is it's the way you say the words. It's the way you say the word temp. Personally, I would find something for candidates to do now or associates. I would say, listen, pick up a broom. I've said that before. Clean the warehouse, something. Because if you send them home because they're only temps, it's going to cost you in the long run. And there's nobody that can change my mind on that it would not. That's a cost savings by sending them home. Even you sent 30 people home. When you lose about 10 of them on that Friday and then they don't come back and you have to retrain the temps, that word again, or associates or temporary. Think about how you word that. But the reviews can point things out. You got to watch some of that. Change directions, change those reviews. Talk to some of your associates there or staffing associates that what's going on? Can we help you? Can we help you? Everything's about helping them, just like you're helping your full-time employees. Don't put them on the back burner because everybody just says they're temps. Again, you see how I say that? They're just temps. Change it to where, hey, there are associates There are staffing associates, there are staffing partners. You see what I mean? Those words can mean a lot to someone. If I was called, oh, Dave, you're just a temp, I would be so pissed off, because there's nothing wrong with working for a temporary service, a staffing agency. There's nothing wrong. You are employed by your employer. So if people say you're just a temp, no, I'm not. I work for my company. I'm employed by my agency. You work for your company. I work for this company. There's no difference than you, and there's no difference than me. We're both the same people, but never underestimate that it could be you one day that you find yourself without work and going to a staffing agency. And then when somebody says that word, you're just a temp, you will know what I said. You'll feel that feeling of what the hell just happened here. So just be careful with that. And what I tell people is that you got to be honest. Listen, I've said it numerous times before. When you're honest with the candidates, let's just say your associates are temporary to full-time in 520 hours. And that's what the client says. We want candidates that are full-time, that are going to want to work full-time, but they have to go through, 520 hours. And that's what it normally is in the staffing agencies. If you don't stick to that, and those candidates say, why can't I get hired? Our staffing agency told us we would be hired. Well, we're going to wait a little bit. There again, be real careful with that. Candidates see that. So when they leave and they put on the reviews, oh, you'll never get hired full time, they just tell you that. There again, honesty. And temporary to full time means, listen, I was hired temporary to become full time, not in 6 months, because if they told me 6 months, I never would have done it. If they told me, after a year, there's some companies in the Lehigh Valley that they don't hire them on. They tell you what they want you hired. They do. And I don't say their names because, it's not their fault. It's just the way management treats or shows them how to represent themselves. Or, they don't want it. They say they want it. You're going to get hired, but you don't. And some people have worked 1 year and then all of a sudden they finally get hired. But when other candidates see that, there again, they'll be like, well, maybe you are just temps. Maybe you are just temporary. And that falls on the staffing agency and the client. That's where those two need to be held accountable. Somewhere the discussion got changed. Something that we agreed upon that, hey, we're sending you temporary to full-time candidates, but then you came back and said, no, we're not going to hire full-time. Unless there's really a great reason, you need to be honest with the candidates, your associates up front. It's not fair. I've seen it. It's not fair at all for them and for the client, that impressions that you give the temporary workforce. So you got to watch that also. And I've worked for the top 15 in the area, and there's some, listen, I'm just being honest, there's some that I wouldn't send my candidates to. I know how they treat people. And that is where, when you look at a smile, but when you find companies that have that culture, that stick to their beliefs, that they tell the truth, and they just stand out, man. Some of these companies in the Lehigh Valley, PA area are really good, man. They just stand out. Everything's good about them. You've heard great things about them. Their benefits are great. This is where some of the temporary workforce want to go because they're honest. They're not coming back saying, you told me that I was going to be hired. Again, watch that. Be very careful because it'll come back and bite you. I had a story I always like to tell, and this was the truth with that temp word, where it really hit me hard. Is I was doing sales and I had to go to a company that they had in the previous past. And I got in there and I sat at the table, and the two managers said, we don't even know why you're here. We called you because the last person was horrible. He said a different type of word. I don't want to say it on here because that's what he said. So in my mind, I was like, why am I here? You called. They had 6 staffing agencies already. 6 for 40 to 50, not even 40 to 50 openings. 6. And they just said, we want temps. Okay. We want temps. And they wanted to, it was a great 7 to 3:30. Everything was great. Did the tour. Looked great. And they wanted feedback. Why do they have temps? That's what they kept saying. Temps leaving. They just come in, they leave. All right. Talked to them for a while. We got the orders. We sent candidates over, associates, I like to say. And, we'd have a couple of them quitting, coming back the next day. We don't want to work there. Why? Well, they don't rotate us. All right. Write that down. Call the company. Hey, we had some people coming in, the temporary associates, saying that you're not rotating. And they were like, oh, no, we always do that. All right. Maybe I thought it was just one time. Next day, same thing. Okay. Call back up. Listen, the temporary workforce is saying that you're not rotating. Dave, we're telling you, no. Okay. Next day, somebody comes back. There's 3 people there that are full-time that are just mean. They show no respect. They just yell at you. They yell at you because you're a temp. You're just a temp. Temp. Think about that. You're just a temp. Company, tell them. There's no way. All right. Days go by. People still leaving. They're leaving. They just said these 3 people treating the temps bad. Okay. So long story short, here you go. That was the end of the contract. That was it. Never called back. And I'm kind of glad because that there, 6 agencies for like 30 openings. That is crazy. It was a good place, clean. It was mainly because it was day shift. And people really like day shift. People will take a $2, $3 an hour pay cut if it's day shift versus second or third shift. But there again, it was just my experience with temp word. I like to say again, temporary or associates. So how does that sound, right? So also one time with one company, they had never gone, the temporary workforce never had gone to the picnics. They were working. Why? The company was leaving people. Their employees were going on a bus, taking it. Okay. Continue to work. New manager took over. It's like, why aren't the temporary people going? What are they working for? They're never invited. Oh no. This manager was awesome. Within 30 minutes, shut it down, send them out because they were not successful if we didn't have your temporary workforce. That was a great leader. Think about that. He was like blown away. And I respect him to this day that those temporary workforce were able to go and enjoy the picnic, just like all the other were full-time employees, because he said, listen, we wouldn't be successful if it wasn't for them. That right there was really great. Hey, Doris, how you doing? I figured I was a little bit early on the show tonight. I was supposed to be at 9, but I had to get some things done. But there was a great professional that really stood up for the temporary workforce. And I really like that, because nobody wins. Nobody wins by utilizing the words and how you say them. Again, I'm going to say it. How does this sound? You're just a temp. Think about it. Let me say that to you, and let me tell you how you feel about that. Because after the show, or if one person hears this, you're going to understand that can really hurt morale. So that's where the client and your branch manager and regional directors of both really need to communicate. What's happening, and you'll hear people saying they treat us like temps, like numbers, like we don't matter. We're just there. You can do that. You can treat them that way, but they're never going to come back. And the word of mouth, like one person tells one, another. You don't want that. You want positive things about your company. Now, you're going to have those people that are just not happy, no matter what they do. They can go for a job. You could have 3 jobs a week, seriously, in the Lehigh Valley right now. If you didn't like this one, the next day you could go start at another company. The next day start at another one until you find something you like. But think about it. Somewhere they like some of the companies. And when you look at some of the reviews, again, reviews are two-sided, but they can be as important. You need to reach out to them and change change that impression of your company. Make them want to come to you. Again, that culture, make them want to come and work for you, knowing that they might have to work temporary, and she's right. The commitment is very demeaning. Thanks. And that's what I'm talking about, Doris, is that word. I like that word, demeaning. And that's what I wanted to get through tonight, is because it can make the difference. Now, if I saw a company that I really wanted to work for, right? There's a couple that are really, really awesome here. And when they say that you have to start out as a temporary worker or an associate, I'm going to do that. Listen, if you're good, they're going to wait. They're going to want to work for you. Some of them, again, have worked longer, but be honest. The workforce today, I'm not saying years ago you weren't, but some companies aren't. And staffing agencies, you have to really work together. Work as a team, management, staffing agency, client. You work as a team and you really communicate, and you take that word temp out of there and you change it to associates or temporary workers or something like that, you're going to see a difference. Words mean a lot. And so you want to watch that. So let's see. Again, human resources, if they don't know it's broke, they can't fix it. So one of the things that I've seen that are coming back right now, and I know it's old school, but it's the suggestion box. We've all seen them. They used to be there, and we utilized them back in the 90s. You could just take a slip of paper, write something on it, and put it in the box. You don't want to put it out somewhere where people see it, maybe coming out of the restroom area. Like, you can put a box right there, somewhere where, somebody could just slip a piece of paper in there. Or, on their way out or on their way in, somewhere it's kind of discreet looking an area, and they don't have to put their names on it. But if you do that, you'll see that you're going to get some, and you need to read them. You need to really read them, and you might get 10, maybe get 3. But if it's something that nobody knows about and you're saying it, you're not signing your name. It's just giving communication to the client and to the staffing agency. But right there is just really valuable information. Some people don't like to do that, That's right. I've heard of them. I think surveys are used instead now. Right. And you can take them. Exactly. You're pretty smart, Doris. I got to tell you, you come up with some really good things there. And what she's talking about now are the surveys. You can give a survey when you leave. There's companies that send texts I've seen come right to your phone, and you do a survey, just like AT&T. Oh, can't say them, but in my area, it's horrible. So I put no, and maybe I'll get something free out of it. But hey, Rob, how you doing, sir? A little bit early tonight, Rob, but I had to get some things done tonight for work. So, but really, again, think about how you say that word. I want everybody to know that tonight, if they're watching this later on tomorrow, the temp word, get rid of it. And that'll really help you by doing a survey or suggestion box. The branch manager of an agency, right, is or the recruiter, your account manager that you've been hired by for your staffing agency to work at another company. If they're coming to you and that person's really saying, listen, this is a lot different than what you told me. They don't treat us fair. They treat us like temps. See, that's where you need to have those hard conversations. And they're hard when you, as a leader, have to reach out to the company, the client that's hired you. So some people, sometimes, they don't want to stir up that pot. They don't want to stir it up because, well, we need them, right? But I still believe there is some integrity, honesty out there that I don't think some of the clients know all of it, what's going on. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because if you're telling them the truth, not one person, I don't believe, if you're a good leader with your company, that would say any different. They're not. If they're a really good leader. And again, if HR doesn't know it's broke, they can't fix it. So after the fact of, if you were saying, I just don't like to be called the word temp, they just use the word temps, you're just temps. That's what I wanted to reach out to tonight. And it's going to be a shorter show, but think about that. When you're going to work tomorrow, you're going to work next week. If you work for a temporary workforce, they do have jobs. They are no different than you, that you're working full-time. They're working full-time. They work for this client. You work for the client. So does a full-time employee. No difference. Each person has a separate company that pays them their wages. So on that note, Rob, I'll reach out to you tomorrow. And Doris, thanks. I came on a little bit early. And Anne-Marie, and for anybody else who's watching, have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow night. We're really going to talk about a lot of things within the staffing agency. But remember, do not use the word temp. Say temporary workforce, or there are associates. So on that note, everybody have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.